everyone. Good evening. I hope all of you are hale and hearty, safe and sanitized. I am Swaima Ahmed, and I take this opportunity to welcome each one of you to PlanetSpark TV Live. Now, as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, that I am your host for how to deliver a great TEDx talk. And I have been meeting you for last 2 months, and we have been discussing at length about what exactly is a TEDx talk. How can you actually create your own TEDx talk? What is the structure of a great talk? What are the do's and don'ts, pros and cons, and so many exciting things about a TEDx talk, my dear participants. And as we all know that at PlanetSpark TV Live, we are basically on a mission of generating the next generation of public speakers and creative writers. And that's exactly what we aim at doing. So we make sure that all the activities, games, assignments in this episode are basically aligned towards this mission. Now, I take this moment to thank all of you for making these episodes a roaring success with your proactive participation. And I hope that we continue this association of learning, lifelong learning, and we continue to add more value to your life, especially in terms of your public speaking skill sets. So, on that note, my dear participants, welcome once again to this episode on how to deliver a great TEDx talk. Reminds me of what Dale Carnegie had once said. There are three types of speeches you deliver. Number one, a speech that you prepare, a speech that you deliver, and a speech you wish you delivered. So, somehow, my dear participants, I know it's very difficult for us to actually live up to our own expectations as a public speaker. So, maybe you've done rigorous preparations for your TED talk or for your presentation, for your speech, for your group discussion, and you end up delivering something else altogether. Maybe you did not really stick to all the points you prepared, the agenda you prepared. Maybe you missed out on some things, but somehow you need to understand, my dear participants, that this is exactly how you emerge, how you learn, how you evolve as a public speaker. It does not come to all of us naturally at one shot. You need to be practicing rigorously. And that's the reason why, no matter how many times you fail as a public speaker, please remember you need to be consistent with your practice, with your participation, and more importantly, please solicit feedback. You need to have proper feedback from the people around you, right? So, three things I always keep telling all my students: please make sure that you have a proper feedback mechanism. You need to be taking feedback from people who know you well, people who can give you a very honest feedback, people who can give you feedback based on your vocal communication, your verbal communication, your visual communication, people who can help you tailor make your content based on the circumstances and the theme given to you. The second thing, my dear participants, you need to have an honest coach, an honest communication coach, a coach who can actually give you the action plan, a coach who can help you gauge your success, your progress as a public speaker. And that is the need of the hour, my dear participants. All right, number two. The third thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen, especially as an emerging speaker, is that you need to keep evaluating your performances. How do you do that? Simply record your speech, record your presentation, record your debate, watch it multiple times to actually have an idea about the mistakes you're committing. All right. I know it's really awkward to listen to your own self, your own speech, watch your own video. It's really awkward and gawky sometimes. But that's one of the best ways, my dear participants, to gauge your performance, to know where you stand, and to bring about incremental progress in the way you perform. All right. So that's some of the basic techniques I would want you to keep in mind. Please take care of your enunciation. Enunciation is how you sound while presenting. And at the same time, my dear participants, what also makes a huge difference is how you engage with your audience. So, no matter how fluent you are, how exciting your body language is, how smooth your vocal variety is, if you do not engage your audience with the help of attention grabbing devices, with the help of the right questions, with the help of some engagement tools, it'll be difficult for you to actually deliver the message that is audience centric. So, to make your content audience centric, please ensure that you actually have some questions, you raise relevant questions, you strike a chord with your audience, you connect with them, you have fun with them, and more importantly, please do not give a speech or deliver a talk. Have a heart to heart conversation with your audience, because that is the key to becoming a charismatic and an audience friendly public speaker. Now, moving on. Well, yes, before we proceed, Please make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, boys and girls. You know, I go live every day from Monday to Friday from 7:15 to 7:45 to 8 p.m. And in these 45 minutes, I basically walk you through all kinds of practical protocols, rules, ground thumb rules basically that you need to follow to become a great TEDx speaker. Now, moving on, what exactly do we have in store for you? So, as you see on the screen, boys and girls, I'm going to start off with some icebreakers. We'll then move on to fundamentals of a great TEDx talk. So, we'll be discussing the three fundamentals that you already know by now: the strong opening, the big purpose, the personal touch. We will then explore the three essentials of the particular fundamental. I'm going to be sharing a lot of exciting stuff with you. In the meantime, I'm going to be dispersing my content with some games like Who Said This, Fastest Fingers, Think Smart. I'm going to ask you some questions at the end to see if you really understood everything. And then I'm going to give you a summary. And as usual, ladies and gentlemen, I have some bonuses for you. I'm going to give you some words to add to your vocabulary. I'm going to give you some expert tips here and there based on the theme we'll be discussing today. And I'm going to give you a video recommendation at the end. Please ensure that you do watch the video at the end. Now, some icebreakers. Let's get to know each other better. Here we go, boys and girls. I'm going to basically ask you some basic questions, interesting questions, and I would be expecting your answers. So please make sure that you're able to share your comments with me on Facebook as well as YouTube. All right. I'm eagerly looking forward to seeing your comments here. The first question: what do you do? What do you propose in order to maintain peace among ourselves? Well, if I get to answer this question, boys and girls, I would say the best thing we could do is respect each other's differences. If we really want to promote peace or harmony in the society, in the communities, then the best thing you could do is, simply respect each other's differences and celebrate the similarities. Let's see what you've got to say in the comment box. Now, the next question, boys and girls: what is peace according to you? So, I would define peace. If I have to give a synonym for peace, I would simply say non-violence, maybe. Right? That's how I would define peace. How do you define peace, my dear participants, in one word? Please let me know in the comment section. The third question for you: what are the traits of a peaceful person? I think the biggest trait of a peaceful person is patience. A person who's patient is definitely peaceful, and he or she knows how to overcome, mood swings maybe, or overcome transient emotions. And that's, I think, the need of the hour at the same time, because these days we know how this generation is actually a generation of instant gratification. Very few of us have the patience we need to get the work done. So I think the best trait of a peaceful person would be patience. All right, now I would love to see your comments, the comment section participants, the ones who are watching me right now. Please share your comments here, and I'm eagerly waiting to read your answers aloud. Moving on, the three fundamentals of a great TED talk. All right. Now, I'm sure in the last 2 months, we've been doing this every single day. And by now, you all know what exactly the three pillars. A strong opening, which simply means that you open on a peppy note. You have to begin with something mind boggling, something audience friendly, and something warm. The second one is a big purpose. The big purpose is all about incorporating the importance of a particular topic in your talk. The third one is a personal touch. It's all about incorporating your personal experiences to ensure that the audience is connected with you and you build a sense of credibility with your audience. The topic that we are dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, is being continued: the world peace. All right. Now, what is world peace all about? Let's quickly cast a glance at the definition. So, world peace, or basically peace on earth, is the concept of an ideal state of freedom, happiness, and peace within and among all people and nations on planet Earth. Within this idea of the world, non-violence is basically the one motivation for people and nations to willingly cooperate, either voluntarily or by the virtue of a system of governance that has this objective. Different cultures, religions, philosophies, organizations have varying concepts on how such a state can be attained. Various religious and secular organizations, my dear participants, have the stated aim of achieving world peace through addressing human rights. Technology, education, engineering, medicine, or diplomacy used as an end to all forms of fighting. That's how we define world peace. And that's something that you can also incorporate in your introduction, which is your opening. Now, moving on, my dear participants, in today's agenda, we will be throwing light on the second fundamental, that is a big purpose. Yesterday, we dealt with the first fundamental, that is a strong opening. Today, our focus is exclusively on the big purpose, and the topic, the theme would remain the same, world peace. Now, moving on, my dear participants, what exactly is a big purpose and why do we need a big purpose in our talks? The answer is crystal clear. We need a big purpose, my dear participants, simply because if you have the big purpose, then you emphasize on a particular topic. You emphasize on the fact that this particular topic is important, is significant, especially for your audience. You also bring the topic to everyone's attention. You highlight the need of the topic and you bring it to everybody's attention. Coupled with this, you also bring immediate attention on the relevance of the topic. So there are times when the audience may not be aware of how relevant this topic is. The best way to make it relevant, boys and girls, is to talk about the big purpose, the importance, right? And that is the best way to engage with your audience in the beginning itself, in the first few minutes of your presentation. Now, let me quickly give you an example. Now, there are three essentials of a big purpose, boys and girls. What we really do is to simplify things for you. We deconstruct everything. So, for example, we deconstructed the fundamentals of TED Talk by having three essentials. Similarly, we deconstructed the big purpose for you by having three essentials of a big purpose. And what are these three essentials? Very simple to understand. Number one, you begin with emphasizing the topic, right? So, number one is emphasizing the importance of the topic. Number two is that you break down the topic into different dimensions. Number three is you bring it all together at the end, meaning you present a crisp summary at the end. So, these are the three essentials of a big purpose. I'm going to throw light on three of them with examples as we gradually progress. Now, beginning with the first essential, boys and girls, the importance of the topic. Now, when I say importance of the topic, all you've got to do is hunt for why is this topic significant. Now, significant for you maybe, or for the audience, for the world in general, for the society in general. And once you do the homework, you can present your ideas. Let me give you an example on why is world peace essential. So as you see on the screen right now, world peace leads to increased globalization. Globalization basically is the act where people from different countries are able to interact freely with each other in various aspects. Number two, my dear participants, world peace also leads to the promotion of tourism. With peace, people are free, to roam about in any country of their choice without any fear of violence. Second advantage. The third one, my dear participants, is world peace also contributes to cultural exchanges. People are able to interact freely with each other and they can learn from different cultures of the world. So, what you do is you try to basically relate world peace to different terms like globalization, like multiculturalism, like secularism, like international interaction, interaction of global communities. And all of these factors can actually be mentioned when you research on the topic that is given to you, my dear participants. So please make sure before you talk about the importance of a given topic, you research a little bit about it and put it in your words concisely and precisely. Moving on, my dear participants, let's talk a little bit about the importance in detail. So, as you see on the screen, wars and conflicts bring no good to any surviving species and human beings. The brilliant, in fact, we must establish an order where we can coexist with peace and harmony. World peace, my dear participants, is the same thing, although in a bigger picture. When no wars are in place and nations are tied with trust and friendship, it is a boon for all. So, what you do is you first highlight three important points. Always remember you need to basically categorize your content, compartmentalize your content, maybe into first point, second point, third point, and then you go on to elaborate each one of them. All right, that's the best way to basically write down the importance or the big purpose. Moving on, my dear participants, let me give you an expert tip now, which says peace is something that defines us. The more peaceful we are, the more successful we get. Competitions and wars are two different things. In order to grow, we must compete in the range of competitions, but we must not raise wars or violence. So we need to understand there's a glaring disparity between competitions and wars. We do need to compete in a healthy environment, but we do not need wars in any way. Moving on now, let me quickly give you a word to add to your vocabulary, boys and girls. The word for the day is warfare. WARFARE, warfare. Warfare basically is a noun which means engagement in or involvement in a war or conflict. So, when the act of involvement in a war is referred to, then we use the word warfare. Let me give you a sentence to help you understand this in detail. Guerrilla warfare. You see, we've heard so much about this term, this terminology, guerrilla warfare. Moving on, let's talk about who said this and you know exactly the purpose. I keep telling you, quotes happen to be an integral part of a TEDx talk or a presentation. And for this, you need to be memorizing quotes, maybe start journaling, start making a collection of quotes or anecdotes or short stories or relevant facts or fun facts, things that you can actually incorporate in your presentations and use handy while addressing your audience. All right, so the first quote is here for you, and that's on the topic that we've chosen today, that is peace. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters when compared to what lies within us. Talks about the essence of inner peace. This is a wonderful quote by Emerson, Rolf Waldo Emerson, and it's quite a popular one. I remember using this in most of my speeches way back in my school days. So it is also basically rephrased as what lies before us and what lies behind us is nothing compared to what lies within us. That's basically a quote by R.W. Emerson. There's another amazing quote I've got to share with you. If you want to end the war, then instead of sending guns, send books. Instead of sending tanks, send pens. Instead of sending soldiers, send teachers. This is another very powerful quote, and that is by Malala Yousafzai. So, you know, she's the youngest Nobel Peace Prize recipient. And she says if you want to end the war, then instead of guns, send books. Instead of sending tanks, send pens. And instead of sending soldiers, send teachers. So we've seen how Malala Yousafzai has been advocating for the cause of education and women's rights since a very long time. And most of the quotes that she has actually revolve around the power of education and the power of social empowerment. Moving on, my dear participants, the last quote for you. It isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it's not enough to believe in it. One must work at it. Right? That is something so witty and practical. That's a quote by Roosevelt. All right. Roosevelt said it. It's not enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. It's not enough to believe in peace. One must work at it. All right, my dear participants, now moving on, let's talk about the second element. The first element, incorporate the importance of the topic, highlight the importance. The second one says, break down the topic. How do you break down the topic? Let me just give you a quick structure. For this particular topic, I would be breaking it down into two different branches. The first one would be importance of world peace, and the second one would be how to achieve world peace. So importance and then the action plan, rather the solutions. All right. So let's discuss that in detail. I'm going to branch it off further. So world peace, I'm going to be referring to the importance as well as the enforcement of world peace. Let me give you some powerful examples, coherent ones, to help you understand how to exactly break down your topic. So when it comes to importance of world peace, how do you do it? Let's quickly understand with the help of a solid example. World peace creates one international community that can concentrate on greater issues that are affecting the planet, like climate change. When countries work together, they benefit their citizens since they can freely move from one country to another for employment, education, and tourism as well. Moving on, world peace also contributes to more developed economies. This is because people are able to carry out both their domestic as well as foreign investments without the fear of risk of future violations and violence. World peace also contributes to the unification of people to fight unfair vices. People are able to speak with one voice to get rid of vices like racism, religious discrimination, and gender inequality. Moving on, World peace also contributes to the reduction of wars. Warring countries or internal nation conflicts can be reduced if world peace existed. War is the main cause of human suffering in the world. With world peace, you're also assured of increased freedom of people. People basically get more freedom, whether they are from different religions, different races, or different countries. This promotes global cohesion. Cohesion, unity. So that's exactly how you highlight the importance of world peace, my dear participants. If you really listen to these examples meticulously, you realize they have been researched well, and more importantly, they have been framed very well. And that's what you've got to work at while designing your content. Moving on, now we come to the next dimension. First dimension, importance of world peace using some practical points. Now we switch to how to achieve world peace. All right. So, number one, we can actually achieve world peace through having international bodies that will ensure that every nation upholds world peace. Such a body is United Nations and other world organizations that ensure every country has the responsibility of promoting peace. That's the first idea on how to achieve world peace. Number one, through bodies like United Nations that takes care of, this particular activity. We move on to the second idea now. We can also achieve world peace through upholding democracy. The main cause of world violence is dictatorship. When countries have the freedom to vote, they are basically free to choose their own leaders peacefully and in a friendly manner. The third point says world peace is also achieved through globalization. When globalization is encouraged, countries will uphold peace since they will avoid getting into war with countries that have economic ties with them. Please do remember these points, my dear participants, because these points will actually come to your disposal to help you come up with intelligent, wise, and to the point audience centric content. 3 points. The fourth one here, when we basically achieve world peace, there is equal representation of nations in international bodies as well. This will ensure that no nation is oppressed and no nation is also left behind. When some nations are not represented, it creates inequality, which may basically stir violence, and that's what we see in the world today. So if there is inappropriate or disproportionate representation, it definitely is a cause of concern. It becomes the apple of discord. So equal representation at the international bodies, at international conferences, is mandatory. The next point, my dear participants, is that world peace can also be achieved by raising awareness of the importance of world peace. Nations can create awareness to their citizens by teaching them on the benefits that they will get once they have achieved peaceful coexistence with other nations. So, awareness, as they say, is the beginning of transformation. So, if we wish to transform the world, we begin with basic steps, with rudimentary steps, simply like making people more aware, spreading awareness, letting people know how significant this is and how this will basically add to the advantages, to their merits in the long run. The next point says world peace can also be achieved by sharing the country's wealth equally. This is by giving equal opportunities to all and by not overtaxing the poor. This will reduce the case of rebel movements as well. So make understand, we know that charity begins at home, and therefore world peace does not begin at the international level. It basically begins the grassroots level. That means countries working at their internal policies, countries working at their internal wealth distribution systems, and that is what permeates at the most basic level. And that is the reason why we've highlighted the importance of world peace at regional level, country level, and international level as well, and also the contribution of international organizations like United Nations. Now, moving on, my dear participants, let's talk a little bit about the summing up. Now, we have discussed at length about the importance of world peace, under break it down, and we also talked about how to achieve it, the action plan. Now, you have to ensure that you sum it up with a couple of sentences so that your audience does not lose a track of your content because you have shared so much, within such a short span. So you have to make sure that you keep bringing your audience back on track, you keep grabbing their attention with these short summaries and revisions. So, world peace is very important in the growth and prosperity of the entire global community. This is because with world peace, we're able to have more social cohesion and interaction that is beneficial to everyone across the globe. So, please ensure that you have a couple of sentences like these at the end to sum it up all together. Now, moving on, let me give you the second word for the day to add to your vocabulary, and the word is harmony, the quality of forming a pleasing and consistent whole. All right, that's harmony. Another synonym for peace and calmness. Please remember the sentence I'm sharing with you. Delightful cities where old and new blend in harmony. Harmony, peace, basically, a state of peace, state of peaceful coexistence. The next point, my dear participants. So we've discussed about two words today. The first word, if you remember in the beginning of this session, and the second word is here for you, that is harmony. Even yesterday, we dealt with a synonym for peace, which was tranquility. Now, let's quickly have the next game before we come to the third essential, my dear participants, and that is fastest fingers. All right, so is it true or not? Is world peace a myth? What do you say? I would appreciate your comments, the comment section. What do you say, boys and girls? Is world peace a myth? Well, no, it's not a myth at all. It's something, it may sound like a utopian idea sometimes, but it is achievable with solid, systematic intervention of nations across the world. The next one is basically, is it possible for the entire human race to be totally peaceful? So we know now absolute world peace is a myth, and therefore that's not really possible. But we can always strive to achieve, something closer to that. Now, my dear participants, it's time for us to talk about the last element, the last essential, which is called Bring It All Together. Now, as the name suggests, as the title suggests, Bring It All Together is narrowing down your content through a quick summary. All right, a summary or a revision. So you basically encapsulate everything you've discussed before your audience and you present to them in a digestible form. All right, how do you do it? Let me give you an example, my dear participants. We discussed the necessity of peace and world peace. We went through some important sayings, learned from expert tips, and by the medium of games. We understood the importance of world peace and how to acquire it. This is how you actually bring it out together. All right. Let's understand, my dear participants, that if you really want to strike a chord with your audience, you have to ensure that your structure is rock solid. No matter how is your level of preparation, if you have a solid structure, a structure like an opening, a body, a conclusion, a structure like bring it all together, break it down, importance of the topic, it really helps you connect with your audience because your audience knows you've given a very organized approach. They know exactly what to carry away, they know exactly what to take away with them, they know exactly what your unique message is all about. And if you don't have that kind of cohesion or clarity in your presentation, that's something that you need to work on. All right, so structure is all about having a proper structure in your presentation and also ensuring that you deliver the same structure with a sense of confidence, conviction, and coherence. So, this is what we mean by bringing it all together. That means presenting a brief summary at the end. Now, I'm going to give you a quick video recommendation, ladies and gentlemen. We know that the world of TEDx is vast and voluminous, and if I tell you to watch something on world peace, you'll be actually puzzled because you have umpteen number of options available at your disposal. And therefore, I'm going to give you a quick video recommendation. Here we go. The description, the link is given in the description box below on Facebook as well as YouTube. And this is a TED Talk by a child named Choose War or Choose Peace. All right, a very interesting TED Talk and a child sharing his perspective on the idea of world peace. Right, I think it's a must watch because you know how TED Talks can actually help you empower your conversational skills, your communication skills, your knowledge bank, and more importantly, they give you perspectives you've never known before. So, that is a video recommendation for you. And now, my dear participants, let's quickly see what we have done or dealt with in today's episode. So, in today's episode, we basically began with some tips on how to make your TED Talk memorable. We discussed about some quick hacks for a TEDx talk. We then moved on to the agenda for the day. We moved on to the theme for the day. We moved on to some games and vocabulary and expert tips. We dealt with the three fundamentals of TED Talk, namely the first one, a short intro, a solid intro. We moved on to a big purpose, a personal touch, right? And today's agenda was a big purpose on the theme world peace. We discussed three different essentials under it with a lot of examples, comprehensive, coherent, clear examples to help you understand the message. Now, the big purpose was a theme. and we discuss the three essentials. And they are, as you see on the screen right now, number one is emphasize the importance of the topic. Number two, break down the topic. That means have different dimensions, branch it off, and give examples also. And number three, bring it all together, which means summarize it at the end of your talk. That's basically, the agenda. And now, my dear participants, a quick project work for you. I want all of you guys watching me right now to think of a situation where you're furious and you basically controlled your anger. Note down several experiences and make a list of, you know, ways that you think you'll be able to continue doing this, and it will help you acquire peace. So I came across a quote recently, it said that meditation or a state of mindfulness is not about sitting on a yoga mat and meditating for hours, or probably trying different types of meditation. It's about that moment of anger where you choose to stay mum and act more in a more matured way, rather than continuing to be the same person you were, giving your switch to somebody else. So that's how inner peace begins. And we understand that it's not about making a big splash, doing something incredible, something whopping. It's about small things that make a huge difference, my dear participants, in the long run. All right, so in tomorrow's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about a personal touch, and the theme would remain the same, that is world peace. All right, so please make sure that you join me tomorrow at the same time, that is 7:15 p.m. and we have loads of fun. We'll try to make the session all the more informative, more inspiring, and more insightful. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, we don't generally go live. I'm going to catch you on Monday, my dear participants, at the same time, 7:15 p.m. Till then, you please take very good care of yourselves. Stay safe, stay warm, and to make sure that you remember my brain tattoo. Your doing is far more important than your data, meaning that what you learn today or in every episode, these ideas need to be applied. Without application, they'll probably lose their essence and be futile. So please believe in the power of application. Keep applying these techniques. All right, my dear participants, thank you once again for joining in. Take care and see you soon.